So now that we're into November and we've had some pretty significant games take place in the league season for the SPFL Premiership, I have decided that it would be a prudent time to put together the Scottish Premiership team of the season so far. Now, I do have a few honourable mentions to get through first. I'm going to go for a 4-3-3 formation, even if these players wouldn't play a 4-3-3 at the regular club. But without further ado, let's get into the honourable mentions. First of the honourable mentions is the goal scorer against Rangers the other night, Shayden Morris. I think he's come on leaps and bounds under Jimmy Talleen at Aberdeen this season, and I think he is a deserving member of the honourable mentions list. The reason he's not getting into the team of the season 11 so far is because a lot of the times he's coming off the bench and making the impact. So I've gone for Shayden Morris as the first of the honourable mentions. Next up is another Aberdeen player, Nicky Devlin. It was a really tough choice for the right back position. I'm sure you can guess who it's going to be, given the fact that Nicky Devlin is the one that I'm selecting as an honourable mention here. He's had a really good season for Aberdeen. Got a Scotland call up in his Scotland debut. On another season, I'm sure he would be the right back in the team, but he is the honourable mention here. And a third Aberdeen player for the honourable mentions, Dimitar Mitov. Another excellent season for him. He had an excellent season last season as well, despite St Johnstone's finish in the Premiership. But I knew he was going to get a move away, and I'm not surprised that Aberdeen have came and picked him up. And I'm also equally not surprised that he's doing very well for himself this season. However, I think there has been a goalkeeper that has been better than Dimitar Mitov this season. Next to the honourable mentions, Lucas Stevenson. I think he's had an excellent season for Dundee United, as has a few players for Dundee United, in fairness. I think, up until recently they were kind of flying under the radar, thanks to Aberdeen's excellent performances and Rangers' subpar performances making the headlines the most. But Lucas Stevenson is another honourable mention for the team. And the final honourable mention for the team is Celtic captain Callum McGregor. Started the season off on fire, scoring screamer after screamer after screamer, and I think for the past couple of games that he's been missing from the Celtic team, there's been something in the midfield that's just not ticking over quite as well as they would like it to. So I am going for the final honourable mention being Callum McGregor. So, on to the actual 11 for the team of the season so far. Kasper Schmeichel in goals. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. Most clean sheets in the league this season. Best save percentage. You can't really ask for much more with that. It might be the boring pick, but I do believe it was an upgrade on Joe Hart for Celtic this season. And he is my goalkeeper in the team of the season so far. Right back, just pipping out Nicky Devlin, is Alistair Johnson. I think he's been one of the standout players for Celtic this season. In fact, after his goal against Dundee the other night, he's the joint second top goal scorer in the Scottish Premiership this season. Now, that's not his job as the Celtic right back, but I think he's having a standout season, kicking on from how well he did towards the end of last season and his performances at Copa America for Canada as well. So Alistair Johnson is my right back in the team of the season so far. First to the centre-half pairing, Liam Scales. I think he was coming under stick from a lot of the Celtic support, and I can understand why. He's not really the best at getting the ball forward. But he's absolutely solid defensively and has been this season. And with the injury to Carter Vickers throughout the season, he has been the mainstay in that Celtic backline. Although Austin Trusty has come on to a little bit of a game in recent times, so it'll be interesting to see what Brendan Rodgers decides to do with that left centre half position. I think the right centre half position is Carter Vickers, nailed down whenever he's fit. He's the best defender in the league, in my opinion. But Liam Scales has had another very good season, so I'm picking him as the first of the centre halves. Next centre half, I've gone for Rubezic. I think he's just been solid for Aberdeen this season, dealing with everything that's coming into the box. Played really well against Celtic and against Rangers, although in the first half against Celtic there was a wee bit suspect, to be fair to him. But however, for the majority of the season, I think he's been really solid, and he is my other centre half for the team in the season so far. On to the left back position. He's been playing left wing back for Dundee United in most games. I'm going for Will Ferry. I think he's had a really solid season in terms of assists and getting involved in build up to goals. And to be honest, there wasn't a lot of standout choices at left back. I could have gone for Jeffrey from Rangers and Daba from Kilmarnock. And but I think Will Ferry is going to be the choice. Jack McKenzie probably could have made a case as well. In terms of Celtic, you've had the swap overs between Vai and Greg Taylor, so I think it's not too fair to pick one of them. So I am going for Will Ferry from Dundee United to complete the back line. On to the first of the midfielders. I'm going for Motherwell's Lennon Miller. Even in games that Motherwell haven't won this season, he's been a standout. The Celtic game recently, for example, that first 20 minutes was the Lennon Miller show. And I think Motherwell will do very well to hold on to Lennon Miller. Even potentially in January, there could be teams coming in and looking for him. He looks like he's part of a continuously talented, over the last few years, Scottish midfield. And he could be one of the mainstays in the team, the Scotland team in the future. Whether he goes abroad or one of the bigger teams in Scotland picks him up, I don't know, but he is going to be the first of the midfielders for the team in the season so far. On to my next one, Nielsen. I've been singing his praises in the past couple of videos that have been to do with Aberdeen, and I think he is going to be the holding midfielder type, if you like, in the team of the season so far. I think Aberdeen have unearthed a real gem there. I could have gone for Graham Shinney as well. He just missed out on the honourable mentions list, to be fair to him, but Nielsen is the one that I'm picking there. I think he's been really solid, and if he continues to be, I don't see any reason why Aberdeen can't at the very least finish second and potentially even get themselves a trophy this season. And the attacking midfielder is Jamie McGrath. Kind of self-explanatory. He's been at the heart of a lot of Aberdeen's goals this season. I know he missed the penalty against Rangers, of course, but that seems to be a one-off for him for this season. Against Celtic, he played a terrific pass in behind for Esther Sockler. Been getting assists galore. Any fantasy football players also been scoring as well. Any fantasy football players will be getting a lot of points for him this season, so I am going to go for Jamie McGrath as the attacking midfielder. And now it's time to go on to the front three. First to the front three, Nicholas Kuhn. He's added goals and assists to his game this season since arriving at Celtic in January of last season, and I think the pre-season that he had was a standout. Even when he's coming off the bench, he's impacting games as well when there's been rotation. The Falkirk game, I know it was in the Cup, coming on and changing the game, even at the weekend. Even against Motherwell at the weekend, he came on and got an assist for Adam Ida. So I am going to go for Nicholas Kuhn as the right wing for the team of the season so far, and potentially the player of the season so far. On to left wing, I think Daizen Maeda, and the last couple of games not been at his absolute best, but certainly for most of the season he's been having a terrific time of it. He isn't the most technically gifted player in the world, of course, but the work rate that he gives, I think he's one of Celtic's most irreplaceable players, in fairness to him, particularly in those derby games. It seems he causes that Rangers defence nightmares. So Daizen Maeda is my choice for the left winger. And despite the fact that he did pick up an injury at the end of September, strikers wise this season there hasn't really been a standout apart from Guehi, and given the fact that he'll be back according to Votmob anyway in early January, I don't see why he can't pick up where he left off, so I am going to go for him as my number 9 for the team of the season so far anyway. And I don't think there's any surprises for manager of the season so far. It was pretty much between Jimmy Talleen and Brendan Rodgers for me. If Dundee United hadn't lost a couple of games, maybe Jim Goodwin could have been put into there as well. But I am going for Jimmy Tilleen because, as good as Brendan Rodgers has been this season, don't get me wrong, it's kind of expected of Celtic and him that they would be at the top of the table, even going into the season because of how poor Rangers had been. There was talks of another undefeated season, and as it stands, Celtic are, of course, undefeated. However, so are Aberdeen, which was totally unexpected of Jimmy Tilleen's side, given the fact that they were, at one point last season relegation candidates, and they lost their best player in Miovski. And Duke also went on a hiatus earlier in the season as well. So I think it's comes as no surprise that Jimmy Tilleen is the choice for manager of the season so far. So that rounds off what, in my opinion, is the Scottish Premiership team of the season so far. If you disagree with any points, let me know. It'll be interesting to revisit this video come the end of the season to see how many of the players kicked on and continued to be in the team of the season so far, and how many players fell off a cliff, and if anyone gets replaced come the end of the season as well. Maybe, there was a couple of positions in there that it was actually hard to pick, not because there was multiple candidates, but because there wasn't a lot of candidates. The left back position, for example, in my opinion, and the striker position, being a pair of them, that was the case. I am putting together a little video for the SPFL Road to Glory as well, which should either be out tonight or tomorrow. And if you would like to leave a like, subscribe, put on the notification bell, all that good stuff, then that would be greatly appreciated. But I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, guys.